All right, let's get right into it. You know, in healthcare, sometimes a simple change on paper, a signature on a bill, can create bigger waves than some new medical device. And that's exactly what we're breaking down today. A really big shift in healthcare staffing that just happened in Connecticut.
So just think about it for a second. A system that was pretty walled off by state lines has suddenly become way more connected. One single change has made the whole healthcare world a little more flexible, a little more responsive, and we're going to get into exactly how.
So, here's our game plan. We'll start with the big announcement itself. Then we'll cover what the NLC, the Nurse Licensure Compact, actually is. We'll look at who really benefits from this, how it smooths out operations, and finally, what this all means for the future of nursing.
Okay, first things first, the headline. If you work anywhere near healthcare compliance or staffing, well, this is probably news you've been waiting for.
And there you have it. Connecticut is now officially part of the Nurse Licensure Compact, or the NLC. Now, for anyone who deals with credentialing, operations, or even the money side of things like revenue cycle management, this is a total game changer for getting talented nurses into the state. So that leads to the obvious question, right? What in the world is the Nurse Licensure Compact? Let's break down what this thing is all about. So, to put it simply, the NLC is basically an agreement between states. It lets nurses, we're talking both RNs and LPNs, hold one single license that acts like a passport. It gives them the green light to practice in all the other states that are part of the club. No more applying for a new license, state by state by state. And I mean, the difference here is just night and day. The old way, it was a nightmare of paperwork, paying fee after fee, and just waiting around for approvals for every single state. But with the NLC, it's one license, one renewal date to remember, and boom, you have the freedom to practice across dozens of states. The jump in efficiency is just massive. Okay, so the system gets a whole lot smoother. But who are the real winners here? This isn't just some small administrative tweak. It actually creates this huge ripple effect across the entire healthcare industry.
Well, first up, and this is a big one, it's a huge win for travel nurses. Suddenly, they can take a job in Connecticut to fill an urgent need without being stuck in licensing limbo for weeks or even months. For them, it means more opportunities, and for patients, it means they get care faster. And hey, let's not forget about the absolute explosion of telehealth. Before this, a nurse sitting in, say, another compact state couldn't easily provide virtual care to a patient in Connecticut. Now, that barrier is just gone. This opens up a massive door for remote care and specialized consultations from afar. And if you're a staffing agency, this is a logistical dream come true. I mean, imagine having this huge nationwide pool of nurses who are instantly good to go for an assignment in Connecticut. It lets you fill those critical positions so much faster and more efficiently. And that brings us right to the folks on the ground, the hospital and healthcare teams. For the credentialing specialists and the operations managers, this just means a way simpler and faster onboarding process. Trust me, verifying one multi-state license is a whole lot easier than chasing down paperwork from a bunch of different states. So let's connect all the dots here. This isn't just some abstract policy change. It has a real, direct impact on your team's day-to-day work and your organization's bottom line. So, what's the real so what for you and your team? The bottom line is really this. Connecticut joining the NLC makes the whole idea of cross-state nursing way more flexible, way more efficient, and just more accessible. It's about breaking down these artificial walls and letting talent go where it's needed most, without all the red tape. So let's just run through the key benefits here. We're talking about faster nurse onboarding, which means patients get the care they need sooner. We're talking about way fewer licensing delays, a huge boost for remote care, lower costs from all those application fees, and just overall, a much, much smoother staffing process for absolutely everyone involved. And here is the real takeaway for so many of you listening. This isn't just about convenience, it's about compliance. This change seriously streamlines the workflows for your credentialing teams, for revenue cycle management, and for healthcare administration as a whole. It makes verification simpler and cuts down on some major compliance risks. Okay, let's zoom out for a minute and look at the big picture. This move by Connecticut, it's not happening in a bubble. It's actually part of a much bigger story that's unfolding about the future of how we work in healthcare. You know, they say knowledge is power, and in the world of healthcare regulations, that is 100% true. Really understanding a change like the NLC and what it means for staffing and compliance, that's what gives an organization a real competitive edge. And that kind of brings us to our final thought here. As healthcare becomes more remote, more national, and just more flexible, you have to wonder, right? Is the whole idea of state-by-state licensing on its way out? Is this multi-state license becoming the new normal, the new standard for healthcare staffing? It's a huge question, and Connecticut's move is a pretty telling piece of the puzzle. Thanks for tuning in.